Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. Everybody get their coffee? Awake? Terrific. Thank you very much for the introduction, and I'd like to first just thank the organizers, for having me here to this terrific event, and also congratulate the organizers for doing such an incredible job. I organize my own forum from time to time, and I know it looks very easy, but it's not, and they've done a terrific job. I'd like to just tell you a little bit about the organization that I'm working for, and point out a few things, and then hopefully be able to answer some questions. I'll move on as we go. Well, consequently, there is a one-page flyer that I've left copies at the Sustainable Tourism Association booth. So if anybody wants to pick this up, it just is a little bit of a fact sheet about the Mekong Tourism Coordinating Office. First, just the role of the MTCO. We are tasked with the marketing and promotion for one of the world's most dynamic and alluring destinations, that is the six-nation Greater Mekong subregion, and fostering its development as a single destination of the Mekong tourism brand. If you ask 100 people in a room of an international crowd, what does the word Mekong mean to you? You might get 10 or 15 different answers, sometimes more. People's image of what Mekong means. I think Korea has a very close relationship and is also fairly close by to the GMS, to the Greater Mekong subregion. So maybe most people think about the river or perhaps think about the region as a whole. But if you ask Europeans or Australians or people from other places, sometimes they say Mekong means some kind of rice, or some people associate with Thai whiskey. There's a famous Thai whiskey brand called Mekong. So Mekong means different things. Part of what we're trying to do is just get people associating the region as a whole, which is actually 6 different countries with one river connecting it. Our members are, again, the 6 countries that are along the Mekong River, alphabetically: Cambodia, China, Laos, or Lao PDR, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. I have to apologize to Myanmar. They have a new flag as of last month, but I haven't added that to my presentation yet. So anyway, just to get a quick snapshot again of the region, the upper 2 provinces, which are the 2 southern provinces of China, Yunnan and Guangxi, are the area that is considered the Chinese part of the GMS. And then, of course, you have the other 5 countries flowing from the source of the river up near Tibet, all the way down to the Mekong Delta. And again, on the world map as well, there are groupings. Traditionally, countries are promoting their own region as they go. They have national tourism organizations to do this, but over the last, say, 10 years or so, groups from the South Pacific or in South America and Eastern Europe, they have a European quartet where 4 countries have joined together. The same thing in the GMS. It's one little compact sub-region within ASEAN that we're calling the GMS for about the past 15 years. The GMS is basically the upper half of ASEAN plus southern China. Just a quick UN WTO snapshot of tourism revenue. It may surprise some people to learn that tourism, if you combine all of the different industries and all of the different sectors and all of the different revenue that flows in from tourism, it is the largest industry, single industry in the world. It's larger than cars, it's larger than electronics, it's larger than steel. Industries like this, if you combine all the associated revenue. So it's a very, very important one to focus on as we move forward in trying to be competitive in the future. And a quick look at some arrival forecasts. These have adjusted a little bit, but are still more or less on track. The red part is basically the rest of the GMS. The blue part is Thailand. We're sort of creeping up again toward 30 million for this year, and still with a target of over 50 million by 2015. And it looks like these targets may be met. While this is something to celebrate, it's also something to take caution of. We all know that tourism comes with positive and negative impacts, and part of what we're trying to do is to mitigate the negative side of tourism as well. So we can't get too excited. We have to see about how to manage the tourists as we move along. Again, the organization, we have a marketing side, which is more of what I'm looking after. We're working with various experts in the marketing field, basically trying to increase the long-stay, average spending, above average spending sub-regional travelers. In other words, we would like to see more people coming not only into the region, but doing multi-country trips, going overland, going over the borders, staying a little bit longer and spending a little bit more, and hopefully spending in those local communities. We have a lot of private sector partnerships. We're working with tour agencies, with airlines, and so forth. And then on the development side, there's a 28 development project plan in our tourism sector strategy, and these are more donor partnerships, working with different donor organizations. I'll give you a quick rundown of the main sort of 7 things that we do. Again, the first one is marketing and product development to foster the development of multi-country tourism by stimulating demand from appropriate high-yield markets and products through joint promotional activities. This is mainly done through our websites. We have 2 websites. One is tourism01 which is our institutional site. The other is exploreMekong.org, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later. This is the campaign that we're running now. It's basically Explore Mekong, 6 countries, 1 river. The Mekong River itself is the hook, it's the anchor, it's the main sort of commonality that all 6 countries have, and it's what ties all 6 countries together, so we decided to use that in the campaign. Previously, there were a lot of brochures that were done. Thailand, in fact, invested very heavily into promoting the GMS. Our organization used to be called AMTA. This is the Association of Mekong Tourism Coordinating Activities, and it was part of the TAT, the Tourism Authority of Thailand. It since was joined by the other 5 countries, but under TAT with AMTA they did a lot of brochures like Cruising the Mekong, Mekong Special Interests. But again, these were very, very Thai focused because it was of course being done out of Thailand. A little bit further down the road, through an ADB project, the Mekong Tourism Development Project, a book was published called The Responsible Guide to Responsible Tourism in Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. These were invested by the countries themselves. And consequently, I would mention that our organization is also funded very much by the countries. There was initial technical support from ADB, but the organization is completely independent now of ADB and is funded by the 6 countries. Each country pays $15,000 a year, so we have a $90,000 a year operating budget, which is just about enough to get things rolling. This book under the Mekong Tourism Development Project was initially for Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, but has since been expanded, and now we have all 6 countries. It's now the Responsible Guide to the Mekong, and it's on exploremekong.org. We are still expanding it, and this is really one of the big activities that I wanted to talk about. On the site itself, there are various kinds of travel information, but especially focused on SMEs, especially focused on organizations that are doing good within the region. What we're trying to do is kind of play Cupid. We're not a tour operator, we're not a travel agency, we don't have any commercial interests. We're trying to connect travelers to organizations that are doing good work. Just some examples. This Responsible Guide to the Mekong now, you'll see at the top, maybe a bit difficult to read, but there are 6 bars, one for each of the 6 countries, and we have been researching, and we continue to research and upload different organizations that are doing responsible tourism work, sustainable tourism work, doing things that are good for the environment, a lot of community-based tourism. So it's essentially a kind of a guide to good tourism. If anybody has any tips or knows organizations, you can by all means let us know, and we'll try to update them as well. On the development side, I'm just going to run through these very quickly. Human resource development, incredibly important on the development side to make sure that we have the people to handle the demand. Again, with these tourist numbers growing, it's very, very important to make sure that the people are there to staff and that the qualified people are there to manage the number of tourists that are coming in. Heritage conservation and social impact management. Again, promoting higher standards in the management of the natural and cultural resources for the conservation and tourism purposes, and enhance the measures to manage the negative impacts of tourism. Again, working with organizations like UNESCO and others to make sure that we can protect what is there and that the numbers of people don't trash these sites completely. There's been a lot of controversy, of a lot of news lately, especially about Angkor Wat. It was voted the best UNESCO World Heritage Site in the world, but again, when you get to be a UNESCO World Heritage Site, so many more tourists are coming, so it's very important, again, to try to make sure that we can protect them. Pro-poor and equitable distribution of benefits, again, helping to reduce the incidence of poverty and rural incomes. By getting people and encouraging people to travel overland, it does, in a way, spread the benefits. Traditionally, customarily, people would fly from one place to another. They would fly into Bangkok and then fly to Luang Prabang and then fly to Angkor Wat and then fly to Hue or Hoi An and fly out, which means the money is all being funneled into certain areas. The more people can travel overland, the more the money gets spread into the local communities. So basic idea there. Again, the facilitating the movement of tourists, identifying what the challenges are. Basically, visas, for one. It's gotten a lot better than it used to be, but we still have a lot of trouble with visas for certain countries. Everybody talks about a single visa, and there's this great idea to have a single visa not only for GMS, but for ASEAN as a whole. It's still taking a bit of time. People tend to point the finger at the national tourism organizations, like they should be responsible somehow. The NTOs are completely 100% behind this idea of a single visa. There are other ministries at hand, from immigration to security to customs, etc., that are transportation ministries that have sort of more role needing to be played. And again, this is where the Asian Development Bank and other organizations are working together to try to push these things and get them smoothed out. The next one is infrastructure development. There's been a lot of work has gone in. A couple of pictures here of some border crossings and airports. Everything has been upgraded, but it's still important to make sure that the upgrading and that the improvement continues. One example of the A3H highway, which is going now from Kunming in China all the way down to Bangkok. On the Chinese side, it's a 8-lane superhighway. It's in perfect, pristine condition. The Thai side as well, although not a raised highway, is in very, very good nick. In Laos, although there was a lot of early investment in building the road, I just drove it recently, and it's like potholes now, and this meat in the sandwich of this road is in very, very bad condition. So it's something that we're, again, trying to make sure that we can find the right development partners to get the road improved and make sure that people can keep traveling smoothly. And finally, on the public sector, private and public sector partnerships, this PPP, it is incredibly important that people are working together. And again, it seems like something so obvious, but if you go back 5, 10, 15, say 20 years, the idea of PPP didn't exist in our region anyway. We have 6 members, 3 of which are 3 of the 5 remaining communist or socialist countries in the world, which is China, Vietnam, and Laos. We have Myanmar, Burma, which is basically a military dictatorship. We have Cambodia, which is independent but kind of the Wild West. A bit sort of, new and wild. And then we have Thailand, which has been the sort of torchbearer for many, many years. So we have this very, very interesting and tightly knit family. But within that family, it's not always as easy as people think to get things done. So early on, the national tourism organizations did the work that they thought was the right work to do for their promotion of their country. And then you had private sector people out on the front lines of tourism, carving out the new tour programs and developing new products, but they didn't communicate with each other at all, basically. There was hardly any communication, and they didn't have any desire to communicate. Nowadays, it's much, much different. I just put a couple of shots up of seminars and workshops, but there's a lot of dialogue going on now and a lot of discussions, and really, really moving forward. I'm just going to run quickly through the partnerships. Public-private development world and the NGOs, the media, oft forgotten, but it's very, very important to be partnered well with the media, and finally consumers. And I'm just going to plug through a few really quickly. On the public sector side, again, governmental organizations. We work with the Ministry of Tourism on the marketing and development side, other ministries and government agencies. So just some of the logos of our members. And these are the campaign logos from a few of the countries as well. On the private sector side, travel service providers, travel companies, hotels, airlines, etc. And again, some of the logos here. From the development side, we work with government-based organizations, NGOs, community-based operators like ASES20101030, who we'll be hearing from in a moment. And these are some of the development partners that are doing work in the Mekong region. One example that it's an SNV, the Dutch aid organization, is doing the Mekong Discovery Trail, which is in the northeastern part of Cambodia and is now being expanded into southern Laos, which is great. We're going to have a whole, eventually we hope, an entire circuit going down the Mekong River. Finally, from the media, local, regional, international, newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, websites and blogs, travel guidebooks, etc. Again, working with as many partners in the media as possible. The media are always looking for interesting things to report. If you give them the same thing over and over again, kind of mass tourism and famous sightseeing, they're not interested. If you tell them about a really cool new community-based tourism initiative in the countryside, they love it. So it's just a matter of communicating and getting the information out to the media. They're more than happy to promote the work that's going on in the region. Just a quick shot of the Lonely Planet book, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and now the greater Mekong. So people are paying a lot more attention and actually using the Mekong brand on things, which is great. Finally, the consumers. Not to forget the different segments. We're not really focused only on one particular traveler, one particular demographic, but backpackers, flashpackers, group tourists, FIT, the free independent travelers, adventure seekers, culture vultures, foodies, specialty tourists, etc. So many different kinds of people, and important to make sure that we identify who they are. 4 real quick conclusions that we've come to, and something that when we're working with our different partners, we try to make sure that we can impress upon people. One is that all regional stakeholders share the same common problems in terms of the socio-economic development, environmental and socio-cultural sustainability. It doesn't matter whether it's in rural China or in rural Myanmar, the same problems exist. And again, that the actual assets that we share are the same in terms of natural and cultural heritage, in terms of religion, in terms of food, in terms of different kinds of culture, which makes more of a case for doing multi-country visits. Very clearly, the competition is not a good move. If each of the countries in our region are trying to say, pick me, come to my country only, it's really not going to happen. The more we can promote multi-country, the bigger cake it is that everybody can share together. And finally, it's better to work within a complementary multi-country tourism destination framework that builds a bigger cake for all for a win-win outcome. We have our own event, as I mentioned earlier, called the Mekong Tourism Forum. It was revived last year. We had it in Siem Reap, in Cambodia, and next year, again, the host will be in Laos. It will be the Champasak Grand Hotel in Pak Se, and it's going to be on the 27th and 28th. Everybody here, one way or another, I hope will hear about it through our friends, our Korean partners, and we would love to get as much participation from as many different people from Korea as possible. So please, write down this date, put it in the back of your mind, and we'll be sending out information starting next month, and then as we go into January, the website will be fully updated with programs and speakers. It's a fascinating area, the southern part of Laos. They have the 4,000 islands, they have Wat Pu, another UNESCO World Heritage Site, and you can drive. You can go in from the Vietnamese side, you can go to Ho Chi Minh and over, you can go to Phnom Penh. Misinak can give you more information on how to drive. About 5-6 hours from Phnom Penh up to the Lao border and in, or from Bangkok you can fly or drive over. So there aren't too many direct flights, but all roads are leading into Pak Se. So again, we hope that we can get as much participation at the MTF as possible. I'm going to wrap it up there and leave time for my colleagues, but I would be happy later to answer any questions that people have, and thank you very much for listening.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the ASES committee as well as the Korean Association for Sustainable Tourism. This has invited us to share our experience in ASEAN Social Entrepreneur Summit. This is very honor for us. Before I present, to go through my presentation, I a little bit talking about the Indonesian ecotourism network, which is we start since 1995, which is struggling in that time is the issue of the sustainable tourism or ecotourism, even just started in Indonesia. It's a big challenge for us to convince our governments that Indonesia is a huge potential for ecotourism because in that times they are mostly in the government side, especially they are still talking about the conventional one. This is a mass tourism and building infrastructure, etc. So finally, after more than 5 years, actually, we're working very patient with the government, and then we are now is very closely working. Not even we are trying to convince our government moving forward to sustainable tourism and changing some places which is already mass tourism to be what we call is more responsible. It's just slightly changed to concern on environment as well as concern to the cultural conservation. So it's a lot of workshop we done it, and we developed what we call a principle and criteria, and then product development and etc. And Indonesia, you are aware that Indonesia is a huge country. You can fly from east to west. It's about 4.5 hours. It's 6 hours with one stop. So it's the same like I fly to maybe Bangkok. Is only Jakarta, Bangkok is only 3.5. So it's more than that. So it's a huge country, and we realized a network is needed. So since 1995. Then finally we establishing, this is West Java Ecotourism Forum. So this is all the forum that we established right now. Not even one region of West Java, they already have 2 now actually. This is a Bogor, this is another district. So this is a district level. This is a call, it's more the provincial, not based on the geographic basically, but it's based on the, some is based on the island. So we let them to improve by themselves, but it's independently. But in that con, it's become a center for them to be. We have electronic media every month, and we have a meeting every year. This is by their own money, so it's becoming more and more. It's about more 100 people usually every year, and we also usually bringing guest speaker, but the guest speaker who are fortunately been in Indonesia in that time. So we try to mix up, so we don't pay too much for them, So that's the way we work. And product development, product certification, we started now. And marketing and capacity building, this is ongoing. We have, next year we have a data training for the severals. And then hopefully, soon that we have the ecotourism certifications body, which is we started working on it now. Well, that is slightly about Indecon. And in 1990, in 2005, this is very important. It's the same like the one in here just started. We already also consist the Indonesia Ecotourism Ecotour Alliance, which is actually consists of the tour operators which are working on ecotourism product. So it's mostly not the Jakarta base, frankly speaking. They are really in the area, in the locals, the area where the area is. So that's what we support for them. Because the problem is about the information, like mentioned earlier, that information is very important if you are playing on the tourism. So you may already aware about this, that the tourism is the largest industries. I'm actually biologist. and then learning about the conservation economic, and I choose tourism as a tool for quote unquote actually preserve our nature and cultures. So in the sustainable principles, environmental, economic, and social cultural aspect and tourism development, it should be in balance. This is, I think, is a very normative. It's not easy in the implementations, but in some case, in Indonesia, for instance, at the time, that is, we do it. Indecon has been succeed to turning illegal loggers communities to become the ecotourism players. So now it's sustained. This is already mentioned by mentioned before. But if you look the figures from UNWTO, the ASEAN country, the Asia and the Pacific is really actually is impressive. It's 14% up in the 2009, and compared with the 2008. Even this number showing that we are in the region has a huge potential for sustainable tourism. So here is noted that 24 countries which is posted in double-digit growth. There is China, Macau, Japan, Taiwan, Indonesia during the 2009. We have now about 6.8, still very low, but we're targeting is close to this year's will be 7 million. And in the other hand, if you look at the ASEAN's country is also eager talking about. You just listen about the Mekong ID, and I just been as an ASEAN's expert in a couple last month ago, and then we're talking about they're talking about the create ASEAN as a single destination, the idea about the cross boundaries destination, which is and they are finished setting up what they call the ASEAN ecotourism standard, which is still in a draft, which is need to be. I think that Thailand is leading on it, and meanwhile the human resource development is led by Indonesia. So if you're talking about tourism, and don't forget about a new issue. I mean, now is the global issue about the climate change. We realize our climate change is hitting most of on our area as well. Not only Indonesia, Myanmar has never got a typhoon, but it's just sitting from Bangladesh to them, and it's really a huge impact for tourism. That's why in UNWTO has supported the continuing the UNFCCC's meeting. There's actually there is in Davos in Swiss there is already declaration you can download that there is how you respond climate change through tourism, because the climate change is a massive campaign. Then there's also a massive shifting from the market. So we are talking about emission, you're talking about long haul, and then that's why the idea like a Mekong River, a cross-boundary, that's something that the people need. I can fly with this amount of money, which is that's the emission that I spend, then I can visit one or two countries. That is quite, I call it quite sexy. So it's quite sexy for a tourist to visit. So it's, even though I would like to learn more actually the cross-boundary product development information later on, that is how to do it. The others IDs right now is ADB, as I know, through EMTPD, is Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, is trying also develop a same ID that is a cross-boundary product that what they call equator lines products. So it's also something the same thing. So because that's what the people need. So the campaigns, the massive disasters, and then is in the other hand, besides the threat, is also an opportunity. It's a lot of people be innovative from that because it's like from transportations. I mean from Indecon is actually together with one of our partners establishing this 207, if I'm not mistaken. That's a natural guide to Bali. If you have a product to Bali, I suggest that you should you can download this in our web actually, and you can download in the natural guide to Bali. It's a bestseller. I believe the first edition is gone in the market, but we have a second edition. But this is through the certification system that we try to educate the market to choose the accommodation or the product who are really following the principle of the ecotourism or social enterprise. Look at from the Uptown. You can download actually in Uptown Travel Market Survey. This is a British Travel Agent Association, which is as a benchmark. Every year they do the marketing survey, and then they come up with a very clear that 83% from their market thinks that holidays should be not damage the environment. So it means that consumer demands for better environments, better quality of, and you support, I mean the product, it should be support for the environment. 77% wants the holiday to experience local cultures and food. So that's something that you need to offer later on. As well as, this is in Java. So when the people go to their garden in the morning, they pick up everything, they learn how to cook, and they cook for their lunch, and they pay. So that kind of experience is really now is demanded by the people. It's interaction direct with the community. That is experience, a very valuable experience. And then, so this is my analysis. We thought that's what we call what we call the market pressures. The market pressure especially both in a demand for the community involvements, where the product it should be not only watching people. It's a long time ago. It's amazing. It's a lot in Indonesia. The indigenous people. People just coming in a group and come to one village, the indigenous village. They just come and they look and out. There's no interpretation, no interaction with the community. That's something that we change in Indonesia. So it's a demand for community involvement, market demand, especially to provide products which benefit the locals, allow tourists to interact with people and give more experience to tourists. Demand for commitment on environments, that markets demands to business to show a commitment to support the conservation. So who should be change their attitudes? In the tourism industry, so there are private sectors, how about the tour operator, accommodations management, attraction management, in this case, in our case, it's like, let's say, like a national park management, something like that. So the manager attraction. There should be changed all the attitudes and then towards what the market needs. And company, it should be shown their commitment, vision, and mission, as well as the product and the policy of the company. Implementing I give you one, it's not easy to be frank. I changed the one, the 23 on the IATA association. It's actually started with a 2 years workshop. We start them to change a little bit, not all their products, because they need to sustain on their own company. So we say it's turned out. But some already is totally selling the ecotourism, but some they skip it the mess because they believe during the bombs and the external factor which hit the political problem in Indonesia, for instance, the ecotourism market is still going well. Implementing the community and implementing capacity building program for staff is something that are really needed and important. This is a principle I thought without that's very important to be defined as a social enterprise on tourism. One is a community friendly. This is our principle, to be friends and support the local economy, respect and contribute to preservation of local cultures. Environmental friendly. This is minimize environmental impact and contribute to conservation, as well as a tourist friendly. You are in a tourism industry, so you need to think about the tourist itself. So this is, give you an example. This is one of the case of Indonesia Eco Travels. This is after about 10 years working together with network, etc. Then we help them. This is an example only how that we try to give more and more the blue to become more, its cost for service provided by communities getting more and more. This is a direct benefit, means a donation directly from the tourists, the one community that are involved in the tourists. But if you look, but from here, some percentage is going back again to index and then give it back to the capacity building of the area. So that's the way what we work agreement together with all our stakeholders. This is one sample. This is another sample. This is for bird watching, which is a quite high, a little bit volume, but it's a huge numbers of the economy. And this is happened already in many places. It's very good. It's went well. Another good example in Indonesia is Nihiwatu. You can look at nihiwatu.com. This is the best hotel. It's a very inspiring method. Resort is only 12 rooms, but queuing, the people queue because they try to make this is a surfing area. But they bring up people to help and they develop the foundations, and you can see, so this is what they do for answering the market about the community involvement. They have a malaria clinic for more than 42 kilometers from their spot. So it's a huge investment, but they get a lot of the donation from their own customers. In Sambuja Lodge is also one of the good things, creating forests. This is a very good samples as well. You can download in Bosch. You can buy their program actually through Sky. You can buy your land. You can have your own forest there. That's what they call create the forest. It's a 1 square forest square meter. For 1 square meter is about 3 euro, but minimum is 10. So it's about 30 euro they get it. But they give you a slot of a password, and you can open your computer. How about your forest? So it's a very interesting. It's very good and responding to the. This is another sample from which is based in Malaysia, the Wild Asia. This is important. I hope that you can browsing. It's a very good awards among the ASEANs. They are in 2010. They are launching in the ATB Asia every year. Laos, you already have some. It's a very good. So before I ending is half a minute movie. Then. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's gone. Anyway, it's okay. This is my conclusions. Improving our performance and attitude towards nature and culture conservation eventually means preserving assets for your tourism businesses. And I believe the prospect of sustainable tourism, the ecotourism in our regions in the ASEAN is huge, huge. And we can compete, and I believe at least you can grab the short and medium haul, as well as in some area of our region actually a medium haul for Europe. So how that we can grab more market from Europe. Thank you very much. There is a new book from UNWTO. It's a practical guide for development of biodiversity-based tourism product, which is, I believe, it's just 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. I involved to contribute to this book. It's quite practical. We try to bring from the ground. You can download, I believe, in the UNWTO's website. Thank you very much. Hope this useful, and thank you very much.